The universe you live in is not made of things. It is made of mind. Every mountain, atom, heartbeat, and heartbeat of light emerges from consciousness before it becomes matter. This is the first principle of Hermetic philosophy, mentalism, and it changes everything you think you know about existence. To say, all is mind, is not poetry. It is a precise statement about reality's structure. Everything you experience is within a field of awareness. There is no outside to consciousness because consciousness contains all experience, including the idea of outside. Long before quantum physics hinted at observer-dependent reality, the ancient Hermetic sages declared that the cosmos itself is a thought in the infinite mind of the all. Reality is mental, not mechanical. Once you grasp this, you stop being a spectator of the world and start realizing you are its co-creator. The Hermetic teaching, all is mind, means that everything begins as thought. Everything visible started as invisible intention. Every invention, fire, language, art, technology existed first as idea. Every emotion is born from interpretation. Every event is filtered through awareness before it becomes world. Mentalism says mind is the cause, form is the effect. When you think of reality as a vast dream within the divine thinker, you begin to see that your own thoughts are not insignificant. They are sparks of that same creative fire. The universe is thinking through you. To live as though reality is mental is to handle thoughts as sacred material. You no longer treat imagination as fantasy. You treat it as blueprint. Modern science unexpectedly confirms the ancient Hermetic intuition. Quantum physics doesn't use mystical language, yet it describes a universe that behaves mentally rather than materially. Matter dissolves into probability until consciousness observes it. The observer and the observed are entangled. The act of attention shapes what appears. That's Hermetic mentalism in modern form. The field responds to awareness. Probability collapses into experience through perception. The ancients didn't have microscopes or equations. They used intuition, refined by inner vision. They saw that everything flows from the unseen to the seen, from mind to manifestation. If the universe is mental, then your mind is a microcosm of the macrocosm. As above, so below, says the law of correspondence. Your personal consciousness is a miniature model of cosmic consciousness. The limited thinker and the infinite mind share the same essence, differing only by degree of expansion. You are not a separate mind floating in a dead universe. You are the universe becoming aware of itself in human form. When you remember that, isolation dissolves. Every encounter becomes dialogue within one vast intelligence conversing with itself through countless faces. Your perception of reality is not passive. It is active participation in creation. The external world mirrors internal interpretation. Two people face the same event. One sees tragedy, the other revelation. The event is neutral. The mind writes the meaning. This insight shifts responsibility back where it belongs. You realize your power resides not in controlling circumstances, but in directing consciousness. By reframing perception, you resculpt reality's texture. Belief becomes the lens that determines what frequencies of possibility you can perceive. You live in what you believe, even more than in what you touch. The mind functions as the fabric of existence, not just within your skull, but everywhere. Most people imagine their mind as something trapped in the brain. In Hermetic view, the brain is receiver and transmitter inside an ocean of mind. Consciousness is not generated by neurons. It uses them as instruments. Think of radio. The music doesn't originate in the speaker. It flows through it. Likewise, your mind tunes different bands of the universal consciousness, translating energy into thought, emotion, and perception. That's why intuition, inspiration, synchronicity, even telepathic moments occur. Minds are not closed systems. They share the same underlying field. You surf waves of the universal mind whether you know it or not. Your thoughts are creative forces circulating within that universal field. Every thought emits vibration. Every vibration attracts its likeness. This is not magical thinking. It's vibrational consistency. If you continually cultivate resentment, you resonate with circumstances that keep resentment alive. If you generate gratitude, your perception magnetizes experiences to match gratitude's tone. Mentalism is not about wishful thinking. It's about energetic physics. The universe returns to you what you broadcast through feeling and conviction. Your attitude is architecture. Your predominant emotion becomes the climate you live in. You are writing weather reports for your future. Belief is the molding tool of the mental universe. Beliefs are sustained thoughts charged with emotion. They carve grooves through the mental medium like riverbeds guiding experience. Change the channel of belief, and the movie of your life shifts scene by scene. This is why affirmations work only when they pierce belief. Words without conviction are surface noise. But when the emotional brain accepts new truth, the outer world reconfigures to mirror it. Hermetic philosophy teaches vibration follows imagination. Decide internally first. Behavior and circumstance eventually must follow. Reality listens to your self-definition. Living in a mental universe requires self-observation as the primary discipline. If thoughts shape experience, then awareness of thought is the master key. Most people think on autopilot, recycling memories and fears disguised as new ideas. They let inherited narratives dictate every reaction. Self-observation interrupts the trance. When you notice you're worrying, complaining, comparing, pause. Each moment of noticing reclaims creative authority. You cannot always stop negative thought, but you can stop unconsciously believing it. That single shift moves you from prisoner to participant. Emotion is the language by which mind instructs matter. A thought without feeling is like a spark without oxygen. Emotion is the charge that imprints intention onto the universal medium. This is why imagination coupled with genuine emotion manifests faster than sterile repetition. Feeling validates to the subconscious that an idea is real. Once subconscious accepts, it broadcasts frequency nonstop until physical reality synchronizes. Every prayer, ritual, or affirmation seeks to accomplish the same thing: union of thought and feeling. The mental universe responding to coherence. The mental universe includes layers of consciousness, from dense matter to divine abstraction. Hermeticism presents 7 planes: the physical, etheric, astral, mental, spiritual, causal, and divine. Each is vibration of mind at differing frequencies. You experience multiple planes every day. Physical when you move, emotional when you feel, mental when you think, spiritual when you sense meaning. They are not stacked like floors. They interpenetrate like colors in light. Understanding this frees you from material reductionism. You see that energy and matter are thresholds of thought, not opposites of it. The ego is the way the universal mind localizes itself. To operate in space-time, consciousness needs focus. It adopts a temporary identity. I am this person. That lens narrows infinity enough for experience to occur. Ego becomes problem only when it forgets its origin and imagines separateness as truth. Then the dreamer believes they are merely the dream character fighting other characters for survival. Reawakening means remembering. You are consciousness playing human, not a human trying to reach consciousness. Suffering begins when you forget you're inside your own projection. The mind that believes the world is solid and hostile fights endlessly for control. It blames the mirror for what the face expresses. It builds fortresses against its own reflection. The moment you recall that perception is participation, grief loses poison. Pain still visits, but meaning transforms it. You see adversity as curriculum designed by a deeper intelligence for awakening. Life is not happening to you. Life is you, happening as experience. The Hermetic masters used the metaphor of dreaming to explain creation. Just as a person dreams an entire world each night filled with landscapes and characters, the divine mind dreams this universe. Within that dream, you are both dreamer and dream character. When you awaken inside the dream, lucidly, you don't collapse the dream. You navigate it consciously. That is spiritual awakening, lucid participation in God's imagination. The sage remains the dream character, but remembers being the dreamer too. Freedom occurs inside form, not outside it. If reality is a mental field, then imagination is interaction with the infinite. Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. and Hermetists would agree completely. Imagination is the instrument that tunes consciousness to new possibilities. Every innovation appeared first as inner picture. When you daydream, you are sculpting energy patterns. Whether they manifest depends on consistency, emotion, and readiness to receive. Therefore, treat imagination as sacred ritual, not day waste. It is how the invisible becomes visible. You can awaken creative power through 3 practices: concentration, visualization, and emotional alignment. 1. Concentration focuses the mental current. Scatterbrain weakens force, sustained attention amplifies it. 2. Visualization provides blueprint. Mind needs image to shape energy. 3. Emotional alignment charges vibration with reality feeling. Ancient Hermetists called this triad mental alchemy. It turns idea into experience the way chemistry turns ingredients into fire. When your thought, image, and feeling agree, manifestation becomes inevitable, because the mental universe mirrors coherence. The world you see is a mirror, not a prison. Every event mirrors internal state for recognition. This is not blaming the victim. It is explaining the mechanism. If you encounter constant rejection, perhaps self-concept vibrates rejection. If abundance avoids you, perhaps guilt clouds receiving. Once pattern is understood, transformation begins. External adjustment without mental correction is like rearranging reflections without changing the face. Change within, the mirror follows inevitably. Understanding you live in a mental universe revolutionizes spirituality. Religion once placed divinity outside mountaintop, temple, sky. Hermeticism internalized it. The temple is consciousness itself. The altar is attention. Prayer is focused thought. Meditation is receptive listening. Every act of awareness becomes devotion. Every insight becomes communion. You no longer search for God. You remember God as the ground of mind you occupy. To know this intimately is to feel at home anywhere. Every breath becomes mystical when the cosmos is your own psyche breathing. Fear loses authority the moment you see it as mental energy. Fear feels physical, but begins as image and interpretation. When you observe it as vibration, you reclaim the right to retune it. You are the musician. Fear is just a note. Change the key, and the melody of your life changes. To transform fear, you do not fight it. You illuminate it. You let awareness shine through the sensation until you recognize the thought underneath. Usually it whispers one ancient myth: I am separate. Every panic, every jealousy, every rage arises from that single illusion. When separation dissolves, peace returns effortlessly. The wave calms when it remembers it is ocean. You can practice this recognition in any moment. Pause. Feel space around thoughts, between breaths. That space is consciousness prior to story. It is the quiet background out of which every form, every sound, every star arises. You are that quiet background. The awareness noticing the play of minds, worlds, and dreams. Your identity is vast beyond personality. The more you rest in this silent root of being, the freer life becomes. Activity continues, but struggle fades. Creation becomes art instead of survival. Every act of awareness is creative. Each time you notice, love, or wonder, you influence the subtle field of reality. Consciousness is not static. It is participatory intelligence. It responds to quality, not quantity, of attention. A single second of pure appreciation can outweigh hours of mechanical thought. That's why beauty heals. When you contemplate a sunset or a gesture of kindness, your frequency rises to match it. You harmonize with the divine pattern hidden in matter. And then, by law of correspondence, life sends matching harmonies back. Emotion is resonance, thought is tuning, and what you dwell upon, you invite. Not through superstition, but through coherent physics of mind. The mental universe reads intention as command. The truest prayer is alignment, not petition. Hermetic masters never begged the cosmos. They synchronized with it. They didn't ask the sun to rise. They rose inwardly with the sun. They practiced gratitude in advance, knowing gratitude attracts the reality it describes. When you feel thankful before results appear, You confirm faith in the mental foundation of existence. You tell the universe, I already know it is done in mind. Matter simply arrives later to verify what consciousness has written. This turns daily life into continuous ritual. Every meal, every greeting, every plan can be approached as co-creation. There is no longer mundane or sacred. All is sacred because all is mind. Disbelief is temporary amnesia of divinity. Sometimes you will forget. You will judge, doubt, or collapse into survival mode. That's normal. The infinite experiencing contrast through limitation. Even forgetting serves awakening, because every return deepens remembrance. You cannot fall out of mind. You can only dream you have. When you realize that, guilt evaporates. You stop measuring progress and start trusting rhythm. Growth in a mental universe is expansion of perception, never accumulation of merit. The science of consciousness now circles back to the sages. Neuroscience maps imagination influencing biology. Quantum theory shows observation anchoring probability. Cosmology hints that information might underlie energy itself. Every frontier whispers the Hermetic refrain, mind precedes matter. When mysticism and science converge, humility and wonder return to human thought. We begin to see that every paradigm, ancient or modern, was one facet of the same jewel. The hidden architecture of reality was never separate from us. It is the living geometry of awareness exploring itself. The microcosm learns by reflection. Each life is a classroom tailored by consciousness to itself. Circumstances are lessons written in symbolic language. Money teaches value. Health teaches balance. Relationship teaches unity disguised as difference. The universe never punishes. It mirrors understanding. If a theme repeats painfully, it is consciousness emphasizing a chapter not yet absorbed. Once the insight dawns, the pattern dissolves. Lesson complete. Vibration raised. This is mental evolution, not survival of fittest bodies, but awakening of lucid minds. Imagination is the builder of futures. The images you rehearse privately are blueprints for collective reality. Civilizations are shared dreams stabilized by agreement. Art, law, technology, they are crystallized imagination multiplied across minds. So ask, what vision am I feeding the field today? Cynicism builds cages. Idealism builds bridges. The future is not waiting to be found. It is waiting to be imagined vividly. The Hermetist becomes guardian of imagination's purity, using it not for escape but for design of better worlds. The practice of mental alchemy continues in daily life. Notice. Become aware of thought and feeling as creative energy, not reaction. Name. Identify the vibration by its emotion, fear, hope, joy, grief. Neutralize. Breathe, center, and remember that all energy is malleable. Nurture. Infuse visualization with love, gratitude, and clarity. Navigate. Act from the assumption that harmony already exists. These steps are not mystic ceremony. They are the hygiene of consciousness. Practiced often, they remodel reality's texture from anxious control to graceful cooperation. The universe is listening through you. Every heart is a sensor, every mind a transmitter. Billions of frequencies weave together the collective dream we call Earth. When even one person shifts from fear to compassion, the network brightens fractionally. And that fraction matters. Because of correspondence, one coherent signal can entrain thousands. A candle may seem small, yet no amount of darkness can extinguish it. So inner transformation radiates outward invisibly but powerfully. This is how worlds evolve, from the subtle to the solid. The return to unity is inevitable. Existence cannot lose itself forever. What begins in mind must end in realization of mind. All tension resolves back into awareness, like waves returning to the still sea. Humanity is mid-dream in that process, awakening within matter, remembering that cosmos and consciousness are synonyms. Pain on the planet is birth pain, not failure. The species is learning lucid compassion after long forgetfulness. Each individual insight accelerates collective dawn. You contribute more by your coherence than by your complaint. To live this truth is to walk gently. When everything and everyone is the infinite exploring itself, kindness becomes instinct. Respect for thought, speech, and environment follows naturally. You recognize each mind as sacred interface of the same vast intelligence. You begin to live artistically, careful, not cautious. Speech becomes spell, silence becomes song. Even ordinary gestures carry grace because they echo cosmic harmony. This is what the ancients meant by theurgy, the work of the divine through the human. Awareness completes creation. In the mental universe, existence is not validated until perceived. To notice is to bless. When you observe with love, you finalize the miracle. That is why gratitude feels expansive. It seals awareness with acceptance. Everything you bless increases in vitality. Everything you curse contracts into shadow until compassion re-illuminates it. Therefore, the wise live as blessers, not critics. They look upon reality and say, "It is good," knowing those words are the final brushstrokes of creation. Silence is the proof of infinity. Go beyond words for a moment. Behind thought, there is awareness aware of awareness, the still presence watching everything arise and fade. That presence is not yours alone. It is the universal mind looking through your eyes. In that quiet recognition, separation ends. There is nothing to achieve because you have never been apart from Source. Only the play of remembering and forgetting continues, like inhalation and exhalation of divine breath. When understanding reaches here, philosophy becomes poetry, and living becomes worship without doctrine. You are the frontier of reality. The cosmos is not finished. It is improvising through your perception. When you awaken to that role, life turns participatory, not compulsory. Existence becomes collaboration between human imagination and universal intelligence. You were not placed here to suffer meaninglessly. You were invited to co-author meaning itself. Every moment you choose awareness over automation, the infinite learns a new way to see itself. The Hermetic truth stands timeless. All is mind. Matter is memory of thought. Energy is emotion in motion. Space is mind's canvas. Time is mind's rhythm. And you are the artist discovering the art. Remember this whenever the world seems heavy. It is not crushing you. It is calling you to reshape it from the inside. Every challenge is clay offered to your awareness. Mold it with intention, and beauty returns to form. The journey returns home. When the explorer recognizes that the destination was consciousness all along, the search relaxes into presence. You begin to see that heaven was never elsewhere. It was a way of seeing here. The kingdom of mind is woven through every atom, awaiting recognition. So take a breath. Let thought slow into wonder. Feel the unseen current that thinks the stars into being. It is the same current that beats your heart. It has never left you. It cannot. For you are living, breathing, remembering inside a mental universe.